This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. I'm back from Berlin and I'm speaking to no other than yours truly, Mr. Gareth A Davies. How are we, geez?
I'm very well. Well, I take it in Berlin you were mixing with Lando Norris, Jude Bellingham, Prince William in the hospitality suites of the great Berliner Stadtstadium. It looked an amazing event. I watched all England's games, and I wasn't there, but I'm not. I was an Arsenal correspondent when Arsene Wenger was Arsenal manager many years ago, and friends with all those guys that work there now. Martin Keown or work on the big football games. Martin Keown, Lee Dixon wrote all their columns back in the day for the Telegraph. But it really reminded me of a boxing match, that final, where there was a clear underdog in terms of styles and skills and punch power and all that kind of stuff. And it was a very even fight for the first 6 rounds. And then in the eighth, ninth, maybe equivalent to Fury Usyk, um, the big punch was told. The team went ahead. They threw all their resources in one round back at the other side when they threw the substitutes on Watkins and Palmer, who I thought should have played more minutes on the pitch. And they just didn't quite have enough. And if it, in boxing terms, they were England was shut out, and I think they lost 116, 112, 8 rounds to 4. Not comprehensively beaten. It was a really good game, but it left you feeling a bit flat, like they just didn't have the level of Spain,
Yeah,
you know?
it's
What was it like being in the stadium?
oh no, the atmosphere was incredible, and I think there were so many people that we were sort of with that were sat there that seemed a little bit accepting of the result just because they've had it for so many times and so many
Yeah.
years now. But look, an incredible experience, not to be as always with England, but we move on, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I think the trouble is you get to a final and it's devastating if you go out in the earlier group or the earlier knockout rounds. But losing in the final is always painful, um, and it's always painful for the country. I mean, I had all my family, my children, my grandchildren. They all had their houses decked out. Everyone was enjoying it. It was an 8 o'clock kickoff. Most people had booked Monday off. I think you probably had as well. It's Tuesday now, um, and there's an emotional recovery as well as all the food and drink that goes down as well, because you build yourself up for it. It was a shame for England. I mean, listen, I was a tiny baby when England won the World Cup in '66, and they've done incredibly well ever since. And they've got better, actually. They were better in this tournament than in the past, I think, because when the chips were down, they did it, but they just didn't have the quality to beat Spain. But I think part of what's nice, I really enjoyed Gareth Southgate's speech. I don't know if you've heard it. It was read out on Radio 4 on Sunday morning on BBC Radio 4, in which he'd said, it's such a lovely moment for the nation to all come together and to know that everyone. I mean, I went cycling, I did some work, I'm writing a book at the moment that I'm finishing on boxing. I went paddle boarding, I had a bike ride, and you could see everyone kind of preparing to get home to see it, or people were having barbecues, or people were meeting in the afternoon to have their Sunday lunch and then sit down for the game. It's a lovely feeling
It is.
when
I
there's
think
that
it
collective
unites the
spirit.
country, right?
Yeah, I think it does unite the country, and unfortunately, everybody's united in a type of grief or a type
Yeah.
of flatness as well.
Well, Gareth, let's talk boxing then. I woke up actually at 3:50 a.m. ready to go to the airport, and I lied there and I watched Boots Ennis a year out the ring. Now I think I'm probably being overcritical, but what a great performance! What a great fighter! At times, I think he left his chin in the air a little bit and stayed there a little bit too long, allowing Avanesian to counterpunch him. Potentially, that could be due to the ring rust or whatever. But back in the mix, and what a special, special fighter.
He is a special fighter. He's definitely world class. We know that. He's a world champion, a veritable world champion. He did a better job on David Avanesian than Terence Crawford did, arguably. And um, what we need to find out is he really elite? And he's got, Eddie Hearn, the prime trumpeter behind him now, of course, really driving his career. He's been one of the hidden secrets in boxing boots for a long time. We should have been screaming for a Terence Crawford fight ages ago. I don't know if he's got it to beat Terence Crawford. He's a brilliant box fighter. There's no question about it. He's a very powerful 147-pound, 10 stone 7 fighter. He's undefeated. He's knocked out 92% of his opponents, 95% of his opponents. And you can't take any of that away from him. But he needs the big fights. Now, arguably, David Avanesian is almost like the biggest name on his record. And I know he's beaten a lot of guys coming through who had fairly good records. But I do think, I know that Eddie Hearn was saying that he'd been in contact with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, but we also know that about a Terence Crawford fight, but we also know that Terence Crawford has got Israel Madrimov, no mean feat to beat him on August the 3rd on the Riyadh season edition in Los Angeles. And that's at light middleweight. And I don't imagine Terence is going to fight Boots Ennis before he fights Saul Canelo Alvarez, because that's a mega fight. That's heavyweight money. That's massive money weight fight. And I don't see him taking the risk in between against a Boots Ennis. I think Boots is going to have to bide his time out, try and take over the welterweight division, fight the likes of Mario Barrios, those kind of guys, and just not wait in line, because I don't mean it like that, but I just don't think that Crawford fight is going to happen right now, because I think they are very close to signing that Canelo Crawford fight.
Well, like you say, and then I suppose if they do the Canelo Crawford fight, we know that Crawford will be going up weight. We know that he's going up to 154 for the Madrimov fight. So you talk about biding his time and maybe picking up a couple more titles or whatever, taking over that 147 division. To me,
Fight Errol Spence. Fight Errol Spence, for example. Fight him at 150. Fight Errol Spence at 154 and put yourself in the mix against a Crawford. Show what he's done that against Avanesian. Now do it against Errol Spence. I think he could have the beating of Errol Spence as well. By the way, that could be a name that's really propels him,
yeah.
Charlie.
What do you make of Chris Eubank Jr. to boxer? And when I speak to Eddie and Frank, they said, well, it's a partnership agreement. And I say that in quotation marks, not a sponsorship deal or whatever. Do you know any more, Gareth?
No, well, I think, it's obvious from the actual wording of it, from the semantics there, that, that Eubank is probably going to be almost his own promoter with them, have his own promotional rights as a big name signing. And I believe that he will fight Canelo, and that'll be Canelo's interim fight, his 9th Brit, I think it is, that Canelo's facing. Can you name 8 Brits?
God, Liam Smith, Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, Rocky Fielding, joining
Amir Khan, Ryan Rhodes, Matthew Hatton,
yes,
Billy Joe Saunders. Have we done that?
Said Billy Joe. That's going to annoy me. Where's BoxRec when you need it?
Come on, Billy. Come on, let's go from the
I'm
top.
looking now, yeah.
Matthew Hatton, Ryan Rhodes.
Yeah, that's 2.
Then.
Oh, John Ryder.
Amir Khan. Oh, no, I was going to go through them in order. Amir Khan. I think it was Rocky Fielding after that. Then it was
Liam Smith was before.
Liam Smith. Then it was
Rocky. Callum.
Then it was Billy Joe Saunders. Then Callum Smith. Then John Ryder. That's 8.
Yeah.
I think it's Spears 9th. So it's amazing, really. He really truly is a Brit basher. I mean, he's obviously only lost to Dimitri Bivol and Floyd Mayweather when he was 23, and Floyd was 36, I think, or 35, still at his peak. Are you envision there yawning or not?
No, absolutely not. Gareth,
okay.
Come on, takes a few days of recovery. We're still fighting on all
You're 20 years old. You could run a marathon today. You're a marathon runner.
Now, Shan.
I've seen those little stout, powerful legs of yours.
I know. You know what? We ain't getting back to a marathon anytime soon.
No. Okay. Well, but at least you've done it.
Yeah, true.
Well
Sorry,
done.
Frank.
So look, I do think Chris Eubank. Now we know why he didn't take the Hamza Shiraz fight. There's great contests out there for him. I think it's a very tough fight for him against Canelo, but it's good matchmaking. And Canelo Crawford, I just love that fight, and I just think Crawford's capable of winning on points against. But he's got to beat Israel Madrimov first, and people are writing Madrimov a little bit too
On the
much, but
fighter.
yeah, but we shall see. I mean, I'm hoping to witness it live. I haven't made the full decision on whether to travel yet, but I think I'd like to be there.
Well, Gareth, I hope you are there, mate. Dinner's in LA.
Yeah, well, no, just around an amazing event. Dinners in LA, drinks in LA, sunset in LA, Hollywood Boulevard, blah, 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 all of that. West Hollywood, always stay in West Hollywood.
And then get it booked, Shan.
Yeah, but it's still a few days away, and I'm finishing a book called Call of the Warrior at the moment, a 250 page
Man,
coffee table book. I've told you about it before, have I, or not?
I'll have
Yeah.
to. No, but you'll have to send me a copy
Oh,
out.
we'll do a big preview of it when you're ready, and it's got essays on 27 people from the current kind of era of boxing, and it's all black and white. 250 pages, coffee table book. Doing it with I've been doing it for 5 years with the photographer Sonia Jasinski, and there's a lot of finishing off at the moment with that, but that's why I haven't booked it yet. But I think I'd love to be there in LA. We've got a great kind of time coming up, some huge events.
Yeah.
It's the September event at Wembley Stadium, October with Beterbiev and Bivol, December with Fury and Usyk, loads of there's all those events in between. Joyce and Chisora even the week
I
after
like
next.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Look, both men probably could have called it a day by now, arguably.
no, Joe Joyce can't yet, because look what he was when he knocked out Joseph Parker and he closed the eye of Daniel Dubois and hurt him with the jab. Derek Chisora doesn't want to give up the ghost. He's in a little bit of hot water over the headbutt on the Deliveroo driver.
Deliveroo driver. What's
Never
that?
like to see that. Never like to see fighters caught in conflict in the street with other people, because it's not a good look for them. But the trouble at the end of the day, and you can't condone what he's done, is headbutting that guy in Hampstead. I've only seen little bits of the video. You can't condone it, but at the same time, Derek should be able to walk away. But at the same time, you don't know what kind of antagonism the guy
Yeah.
created before you saw that bit of video. But I don't like to see it.
Well, let's sort of do a little schedule run through. We've got Magnificent Seven this weekend, then Joyce Chisora, then Los Angeles, then I think we've got a week off, then Catterall Prograis, I want to say.
Yeah, Jack Catterall against Regis Progress, a great fight for him right now. That one,
And then
and also this weekend we've also got Tampa, Florida. We've got Jake Paul against Mike Perry that I'll keep an eye on. I know both guys very well. I mean, I know Mike from his 5 years in the UFC, and he's a brilliant bare knuckle fighter. Of course, he's only had one boxing match that he lost, but he could cause a few problems for Jake. But I still think Jake's going to dominate this fight and maybe even stop him.
Just going back onto the Canelo-Eubank front, how does that fight play out?
I think Canelo boxes as Canelo does at the moment. I think Eubank puts up a very good fight, sells the fight very well. Is proud and haughty in the build-up and does well in the early rounds, but I think he probably gets stopped late in this fight. I think he'll bring everything he's got. It's a very big fight. I'm sure he'll get paid extraordinarily well for it. Presumably it's a Las Vegas fight. Presumably it's September in Las Vegas. I would assume, unless
We'd need a announcement sharpish, no?
Well, unless there's forces at work that want it in Saudi Arabia or somewhere like that. But we don't know. I don't know any more than that at the moment.
Shakur Stevenson, do you think he'll sign with Eddie Hearn?
Well, he was sitting with him at the Boots Ennis fight, wasn't he? So he's putting it out there. I mean, he's been given a $15 million offer for 5 fights to stay with Top Rank. In a way, he could push his case and say, look, give me Vasyl Lomachenko right now, couldn't he? I know that Gervonta and Vasyl Lomachenko are in talks, but Gervonta Davis, but it wouldn't surprise me if Top Rank lose him, but it wouldn't surprise me if he stayed with Top Rank. I think Eddie's always an exciting prospect for young fighters because he sells his fighters so hard as an individual. Eddie's very good at promoting Eddie, as you know.
Sure, we'll be looking at sort of your boots and your people like that over the course of the last couple of years, where the sort of American resurgence has come in a little bit. I say resurgence, the surgence technically, because he's not been around for ages. But will he be looking at fighters like that and the job he's doing on fighters like that?
Of course. Listen, I mean, Eddie Hearn is a very formidable promoter. Um, but so is Top Rank, by the way. And it's not like Shakur Stevenson is in trouble in his career. We're just not celebrating. The problem is today, he's a purist as a fighter. And I think he is so comfortable in the office. He doesn't change gears if he doesn't need to. He doesn't look for a finish if he doesn't need it. He doesn't overstretch himself if no one's overstretching him. I think the thing is with Stevenson, when he's up against more difficult opponents, I think we see the better of him. When he's up against a more bullish fighter, we see that more from him. We see his skill set. We see his counterpunching being more prominent and more effective.
I suppose lastly from me, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. I suppose firstly on Tyson. Now he's been a little bit under the radar, but from what I'm hearing, the word on the ground is that he's in great spirits. He's fit. He's sharp. He done a video. It's coming home. It obviously wasn't coming home, but he's on the treadmill. We hear that he's ticking over. I know December's a long time away yet, but that's the sort of shape you want, that headspace that you want that man to be in, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think mentally he's recovered. I don't know if we've spoken since he did his Ferocity interview. I liked his attitude in that interview that he did for his drinks company, his own drinks company. I liked the fact that he was talking himself up, that he believed he won the fight. Obviously, he did on one of the judges' cards. I had Usyk winning 114, 113. I like the honesty of Shane Fury in an interview with IFL TV. I like all that background that's being spoken about. They're saying all the right things. I don't agree with a couple of things that Fury said about Usyk, that he's quite an amateurish, but he's entitled to his style, to have his opinion about Usyk's style. It's going to be an amazing fight again. I know that they're both going to give their all. They're both wearing down the clock with Father Time, both men. And like many other British fight fans, I would love to see Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua next year, because it would be a travesty if Anthony Joshua doesn't get to fight Tyson Fury or Deontay Wilder in his career. And it's a travesty for British sports fans if we never see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in a ring together, frankly. And so for that reason, I'd really love to see Fury win the second fight against Usyk, that he can. But I do make Usyk a marginal favourite. But I think you're right. I think Fury seems in a decent place mentally. Obviously, we don't know. We're not inside his head. But it's nice to see that him popping up every now and again, and not too much, but popping up at the right time with the right messaging.
Well, Gareth, you're a diamond. Lovely speaking to you on this
You
Tuesday.
too.
I must say, does feel like a Monday, but that may be because I was lunching it up in Berlin
Yeah,
yesterday.
but don't lose a day out of your life, Charlie. Don't ever lose a day out of
Ever,
your life.
ever. We're in Southampton tonight, Gareth.
Are you?
We're at the kit launch,
For
the Southampton Football Club. I'm very excited.
okay, lovely. Oh, Southampton Kit Club launch. Lovely.
Yes, so good fun. What are
Go and
you
have
off
a little swim in the sea while you're there, and watch out for the sharks.
for a cycle?
I'm off for a cycle right now, and then back to the book.
Good man. Right. Have a lovely Tuesday, Geese. Thank you as always for your time. Legend. Absolute legend.